Okay, so we'll start a little different today. We'll sit on our knees, so if that's comfortable for you. I'm not gonna be here too long. I'm gonna have the knees bent and the tops of the feet down on the mat. So just like you've done Pilates before, it's focused on our pelvis and our rib cage. So with your hands on your hips, on the sides of your hips, wherever you're comfortable, we'll start with a kind of a clockwise circle. So the front of you is 12 o'clock and we just are tracing a circle with just your hips. As much as you can, we're moving from the hips. So it's kind of like a tuck of the tailbone when you go back, a kind of like sway to one side, a push forward, and you're just trying to find that little circle without being too strict of, as much as you can, the pelvis moving around. It'll feel way more back and forth than side to side, probably. And next time you get to the back, switching your direction. So going counterclockwise first and around and back. Giving it especially that tuck back, that side push forward, around, a little swing. We'll do one more. Good. Find somewhere in the middle. So probably push your hips a little bit in towards the tops of the fingertips and imagine they're being pulled upwards. So get that pull in at the bottom and keep your pelvis now in this space. We're going to do the same thing with the hands on the ribs. Your ribs feel like they might be more movable, but keep kind of this cinch in your pelvis. So we'll pull the top of the ribs forward, then to one side, doing our clockwise circle first. If it's uncomfortable with your hands on your ribs, you can take them out. For me, I know I need a little bit of help, something to push against. So a nice big rib circle, round and round in a circle in our clockwise direction. Definitely the pelvis is going to move a little bit, but we're trying to stop it. It might feel silly, but it'll feel really nice. And then going the other way, making our big circle in a direction, pushing forward, squeezing back, side to side. So almost like you're kind of getting all the gunk out of all that space. Now with your hands on your lap, try to do something like both of them moving at the same time. So you're creating kind of a spiral with the ribs, with the pelvis, leaning back, pushing forward, leaning back, side to side, push forward. And then we'll go the other way. Not too long, there's like a little bit of momentum starts to happen, and maybe you can close your eyes and feel like you're almost in a washing machine, waking everything up, finding all that movement until we stop and we find the middle. Oops, so there's someone here. Sorry, Angela. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, so you're just doing a
Hi,
little
so
warm
you're
up.
just doing a little warm up.
Yeah. But we can start, so you can join us. I'm Gabby, by the way, just on our shins, your feet underneath you. And we'll get started from here. So we'll have a long spine, stacking the head in line with the pelvis. Taking a deep breath in as you press your thighs together. And a breath out. Exhale all the way and pull the navel in towards the spine as you exhale. So inhale really up through the chest, through the face, through the forehead. Exhale, you're pulling up and continuing that kind of upward pull. Belly button goes in. Okay, so now we'll inhale, arch the spine and kind of stick out the belly. And exhale, we're going to round the spine. We say tuck the tailbone, but more it's squeezing the glutes and pushing the ribs back, adding movement to your breath. So inhale, we're arching and pushing, spilling the belly forward. Exhale, we're going to squeeze the belly back, rock back, and tuck the tailbone. Next time we come up, it's an inhale and come to standing on your knees. Lift your butt, not all the way to standing, to make our thighs burn. It's about halfway. And stay up on your exhale, tuck the tailbone under. So there's an inhale, you're pushing your tailbone forward. Exhale, we're going down. So inhale, spilling your hips forward, like you're sticking out your belly. And on the exhale, you're tucking under. One more like that. A lot is happening in the shins and in the calves. Spill the belly, open up, and squeeze. And sit back down, kind of crushing the feet and the shins. You can wiggle side to side. So we're gonna add on to that a little bit. We're gonna inhale, coming up on your exhale with a tucked under pelvis. So we lift just an inch with the tucked under pelvis. See if you can hold that. It's crazy for the quads. And we're going to do 4 arm circles. So 1, going forward, squeeze your glutes like crazy. 2, going forward. 3, and 4. Have a seat again, relax completely. So just gonna do this one more time. Pressing the tops of your shins. Already getting that pull of the belly in and the tuck of the tailbone. Coming up just a few inches with the tuck of the tailbone. This time our circles are going back. So make a big circle, reach back. 2, 3, and 4. Land on your hands and your knees. You can shake out your hips side to side. Good. And come into a child's pose just to stretch the legs. Have a seat onto your heels and stretch your arms forward. Good. You can walk yourself back up. We're gonna do some stuff laying down. So that was kind of just our warm up, saying hello to the legs, to the abs. Oops, so lie down. Knees are bent. We don't want to have to think about the feet too much. They're pressing on the mat, but not squeezing into the mat. We're going to focus on the upper body for now, just for now. So with your hands on the tops of your ribs, press your ribs into your hands, and then the ribs back into the mat. You will feel the ribs that were popping out maybe kind of being like enveloped into the body. So we don't want that sensation of them flaring out. We want the opposite, like you're putting a big belt on the back of your ribs that presses into the mat. It's going to extend all the way to the sternum. So your chest, press your chest into the mat. We have our nice belt on our torso. So this is going to want to let go and pop out, like when you're arching your spine. We're not going to let it for this one. Squeeze it back in. Reach the arms straight up towards the ceiling. The fingertips are facing up. It's kind of easier to squeeze the ribs down with your arms up. So go for that and press like crazy both of your shoulders into the mat. And see if you can reach the arms a little bit more over your head and continue to press the rib cage into the mat. It's going to get a little bit harder. And keep going on your little journey without rushing. When your arms are about on a diagonal, really stretch those fingertips and pull down the ribs. So it's a stretch and waking up the top of your abdomen for sure. Eventually the arms may be all the way over your head. Try to get them at your maximum. Pause at your maximum. Mine's about here. Shrug your shoulders all the way up towards your ears and press both sides of the ribs down into the mat. And relax the shoulders. Keep reaching with the arms. And just simple, the arms come back over your head. Reset, pressing the ribs down. So take an inhale. Do the same thing. The arms go back as the ribs press down. This time, when your arms get kind of over your head, make a big circle with your arms. They're going side to side. And when they get to almost touching your hips, tuck the chin, press the ribs down to float the head and the shoulders, and do the tiniest little lift, the tiniest little crunch, just to look at your feet. Roll back down, ribs press down, arms go over your head, and we have 5 of these to go. So we'll do, this is our second one, arms go wide, reaching a little chin tuck, belly squeeze, and a little pulse. Rolling down, arms go over your head comes down, arms in a big circle, shoulder blades squeezing, And a little pulse and a little lift. Rolling down, arms come up. We have 2 more. Make your arms super wide. Notice which sides of your ribs are trying to leave the mat. Tuck the chin. Like a lever, we press the ribs and we come up. 1 more, breath in. And a breath out. Big circle with the arm, feels nice. Squeeze the belly in, cinch up, and we pulse up. Now we'll roll down, still with control. And take your hands on the tops of your hip points. Nice. Imagine there's kind of like, so they say a teacup or a marble in between where your fingertips are. And we don't want the marble to spill side to side or forward and back. Find somewhere that's kind of flat and neutral. Nice. With your hands on your hips, this is to see the level of wobble we're happening in our pelvis. We want the pelvis to stay as it is with your hands in one line. We're going to flex one of your feet, doesn't matter which, and extend that leg. You're dragging the heel on the mat until the leg is fully extended. If you have a sticky mat like mine, just don't put too much pressure. And then bending back. So we call this heel slides, really simple, sliding one heel, bending the knee, and bringing back in. The thing is, when you slide one heel, press more into the other foot to avoid any of this side-to-side action. It's super subtle, but this is how we kind of train that connection to your mind, to your body. Notice which side is wobbling a little bit more, even if it's the tiniest movement. And try pushing your ribs more into the mat and squeezing your low belly a little bit more to get that stability in the pelvis. So 1 leg at a time. Seems super simple. Stretching a leg long. Good. So now with this pelvis stable, we have that. We're going to lengthen our legs long. It might feel like you need to give your glutes a little bit of a squeeze to hold everything in one place. Like we did before, let's take our hands behind our head. Or we haven't done this yet, but press your head back into your hands. That's all we're doing right here, is pressing your head back into your hands. Elbows are pretty wide, they're just not cinched in. Press the ribs into the mat and see if you can press your head into your hands and squeeze the ribs into the mat like we had it. Feet are flexed. Big breath in. Big breath out. We push our head back into our hands, press the ribs, and come up until you can see your toes. Stay here, breathe in. Stretch one arm forward like you're going to touch your toes, breathe out. Inhale, bend the elbow, hold your head. Switch your sides, exhale, reach the other arm forward. Doesn't feel like much, but come up a little bit each time. So hand comes back down, roll your head back down, and that was 1. We have 4 more. Breathe in. Ribs press down, chin curls in, come up. Stay lifted, curl up a little bit more. Reach one arm forward, bend the elbow, bring it back. Reach the other arm forward, touch your toes. Bend the elbow, bring it back, and roll down with control. Breathe in. Breathe out, curl in. Let's start with the other arm first. A little higher. Reach. Bend the elbow. Other side, reach. Bend the elbow and roll down. 2 more. Breathe in and up. Reaching one arm. Bending the elbow. Reaching the other arm. Bending and coming back down. Last one. You're going to feel this one the most. Let's make it the best one. Breath in, ribs down, belly squeezes up and in. Lift up, reach forward, back where you started. Other arm, and let's roll back down. Kind of relax your belly for a second. Okay. Now I'll have the arms really long by your sides. So press, connect. Feel the fingertips, the palms, the wrists, forearms, triceps, all the way to the shoulder blades in the mat. So try to avoid looking side to side for this one. For the neck, give your head a little tuck, or your chin a little tuck. Back of the skull presses down. Like before, with least amount of wobble of the pelvis, so no side to side, squeeze that belly in. Bring one knee in towards your chest, and without a wobble, the other knee in towards your chest. Nice. So here we are. Press the backs of the arms, take a big breath in. What we're gonna do is with the tiniest swing, so not a swing from down here, but a swing from the knees in line with your hips, lift your butt off of the mat. If you're a pro, the legs are straight. We're pressing into the arms, taking a breath in, and lifting the butt off of the mat. The hard part is bracing your way down. And try 5 of these. So butt lift, rolling down slow. 1. Butt lift, rolling down slow. 2. Butt a little higher, rolling down slow. Big, big, big curl. Don't worry about how high you lift your bum. Even 1 inch does the trick. And rolling down slow. And 1 more up. And rolling down slow. Good. Feet find the mat. Keep your arms in close, but bend your elbows. You can make fists or relax your hands. Let's put that belt on again from the rib cage, from the backs of the arms. So push into the mat. Feel your left ribs, feel your right ribs. Don't let them come off of the ground. So this stays connected, and use the back of the arms that's on the mat too. Now, lift your bum off the mat. So imagine a bridge, but not like a yoga bridge where we lift our back. We're pressing our back and scooping the butt under to get the lift of the butt. And we're pressing the backs of the arms. And this is a lot of work. You can stay here and practice this, or we'll find longer legs by lifting the toes off of the mat. Now your heels are pressing down, the toes are lifted. Take a big breath in. Give the back of your body a little tightening, the front of your body a little opening, and the back of the body press it down. Do the tiniest little steps forward on your heels. So don't use your toes, go for a little walk, and don't let your bum touch the ground is the challenge. And we're gonna find our way back. So tiptoeing our heels back. If you need to, you can always rest, or we'll try it one more time. Squeezing the back body down, including your head, your neck, and your shoulders. Walking, tiptoeing the heels forward into the longest legs you can get. And walking them back. Backs of the legs are on fire. So I lied, let's do one more because we're here, set up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your glutes. This time your butt's a little bit higher up. Walk your feet forward and walk them back and roll it down. Kind of give your legs a little windshield wipe, relax your arms. Nice. And the legs go long. Reach your arms up over your head. This is just to come up, but in our Pilates way. So soften the knees, the heels press down, feet are flexed. Press the ribs to get the head to float off the ground. Continue to reach up, 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 up. Everything's going up, up, up until we can have a seat on our sitting bones. Good. So find somewhere in the mat. You have some space, take your hands behind you. If you can, the fingertips are facing forward. If not, they're kind of on a diagonal. What we're gonna practice doing is super simple. Taking the arms are straight, chest is kind of lifted, and bending the elbows and leaning back. So pushing, it's kind of like you have to use a bit of imagination to feel that burn. You are bending the elbows straight back. So try not to lean back completely, but bend the elbows, take some weight, and squeeze the shoulders, and push off of the mat and lift the chest. Just a couple of these warming up the triceps. Bend the elbows, lean back, push, and push your chest forward. So 2 more. Bending straight back, using your hands, and pushing off the mat, chest moves forward. And 1 more. Bend the elbows, and they come forward. So all that work was just for, we are going to bend our elbows. And make sure that you're bringing weight into your hands like we just had them. You're going to lengthen your legs long, and we're going to pull the ribs back in. You can have your heels kind of clicking together so you can keep your legs longer. So you have something to squeeze against. So connect your heels, take your breath in, breath out, press into the hands, and lift the legs. There's kind of a give and take with the hands and the legs. If it's too much, you can always try this with your knees bent. So I suggest starting there if you've never done this before, or if you feel a pull in the tops of your hips. If not, we're going for it, and we're doing 5 of these, pressing into your hands and your arms, squeezing the shoulder blades. Breath in, lift your legs, breathe out. Breath in, they come down, they tap the ground. Breath out, they lift. So if your knees are bent, still working, heels come down, lift up. Heels down, lift up. Heels down, lift up. Heels down, lift up. Really nice. Feet to the mat, just hold on to your shins. Give yourself a little rounding. Nice, and we'll walk back. Same thing, we're just adding on a little bit. Let's take the feet to one side of your mat. Soften the elbows, ribs press back. Kind of putting that corset on behind your body. Try to breathe in, press the heels together, and breathe out. The legs are going up and around and over. You can imagine there's a block or something you want to jump over. So breath in happens at the bottom, breath out, breath in, 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 breath out. 2 more. Breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. Really nice. So now we get to bend the knees and come on to the side body. So choose one side. If you're looking at the camera, you can still see the camera. Choose one of your hips. Try to get the heels back with the knees bent so that your hips are kind of in line with your heels, and try to place your rib cage in that same line because we're interested in everything being in one line. For this one, you can hang out on your elbow and hold your head if that's comfortable, or lie all the way down. It's easier for me to see this way, so I'll come up this way. And just a little like housekeeping checking, pressing this rib, and this hip, and bringing everything else stacked. So I need to have my knees a little bit more bent. My heels are pressing together. Imagine you can slide like 2 fingers underneath the rib cage, so right or below the rib cage. So we know that this abdominal wall is working for us. Nice. Well, I'll take one hand to your hip. If you need a hand, it could always come in front of you. You're going to lift the top knee and squeeze your heels together, and imagine there's a hand here where you can use your hand, or there's a wall that you're trying to break through with your knee behind you. If this is pulling your hips back, don't go so far. Only the leg is moving, your hip stays exactly where it is. Once we get up here, kick that leg out straight from where it was. So not the way all the way up here, but if your knee's bent here, kick it on the diagonal. Bend it again, the heels come down together. Squeeze the heels and connect your knees. Even on the way down, you can feel this resistance. If you have a band, you can always use a band around your thighs. So navel draws in, so your corset is around your middle body. Knee lifts, extend that leg, point the toes. Heels come together, knees come together. Opening up, extending, bending. So we get kind of the whole legs action. Opening up, extending, still pressing these ribs down. Flex your foot as your heels come together and they come down. Opening up. Nice. So you don't have to do a lot of these for them to be effective, but really once you feel that nice kind of burn, that extension, all of that juiciness behind you, kind of just do a couple more just to make sure. Okay, last one. So your legs come together. If there's a burn, you can give it a little bit of a rub. Now we'll come down, lengthen that arm underneath. So if you weren't there before, I hope this is okay. Kind of tuck your ear into your bicep, readjust. Let's have our legs long. So I know that it kind of rolls on my hip a little bit. Find somewhere you can stay on your hip. Still the hips are stacked, but some people need a little bit forward, some people need a little bit back. You have your hand here to help you out. Press into the mat with your fingers. We're taking a big breath in. Slight tuck of your chin, lift both of your legs. So your bottom leg is supporting your top leg, but really your abdomen is helping you out. If you can stay here, then we're adding on. If not, we're practicing lifting your legs up and down, up and down. If you're up, let's go for a little walk. Point your toes, swimming the legs forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. Let's go for 10 more seconds. Try to slow it down. So 3, 2, and 1. Bend both of your knees. Use your hand to come on to your forearm. So now we're in our mermaid pose. Your knees are stacked. Come onto your forearm. I like to make a fist. If you prefer, your whole hand is pressing down into the mat. Make sure the elbow isn't too far forward or too close to you. It's really so that we can get the shoulder kind of stacked in line with the elbow. There's lots of space between your elbow and your hips. I'm going to take one hand to your hip. We're going to still have the knees stacked and the feet stacked. Pull your ribs in. If your ribs tend to fall to the mat, lift them away. You can have your hand here the whole time, just to remind you. Press into the forearm, take a breath in, and lift your hips. Squeeze your thighs together and just lift your hips, lower your hips. Lift your hips, press, lower your hips. Your shoulder is not coming up towards the ear. The shoulder blade is falling down the spine. We're adding on if you can, lifting the hips, opening up the top knee. Knees come together, hips come down. Hips up, knee open, knee together, hips down. 2 more of those, hips up, hips open. Knees together and down, hip up, knees wide open. Press your heels, you'll feel it more. If you need it, knees come down and we come down. Hold on to your shins with your other hand and stretch your arm over your head. We have one more exercise on this side. So I tend to do a lot of triceps in our classes. That's because they're very, very asleep a lot of the time. So it's nice to wake them up. You'll see it's good for your posture, good for your twists, and good for your breath. So find your forearm in the mat. Have your knees bent, but not as bent as they were. So let's have them a little bit longer. Your feet are together. We're going to take a big breath in, and we're going to come up by straightening the legs and pushing your feet together. Bending the knees and landing soft. Just 2 more of those. It helps to squeeze the feet together like crazy. The shoulder's going to kind of pass the elbow, but not too far. So it's kind of like this pushing of the thighs of the feet, coming into a forearm side plank, bending the knees and lowering down. 1 more, coming up and lowering down. So nice. And now we have our other side. So you can switch your side just like me, coming on to first our clamshells. So we'll have the knees stacked in the same way, the heels stacked in the same way. I like to be on my elbow, kind of hanging out. Okay. You can line up everything with the back of your mat, holding one hip. So just know intuitively we kind of do the easier side first. So this might be a little bit harder. So we'll have our hips stacked. You can hold onto your hip and we open up really as far as you can go without compromising, without wobbling. Bottom leg is kind of pressing down, so are your ribs. Once you get to your highest point, extend your leg, kick it out from there. Then the heels press, squeeze together, and the knees squeeze back together. And we keep going, knowing it's going to get a little harder as we keep going, but keeping that integrity of your movement. So it's like clamshells with a little extra leg extension. So the bone is moving in the socket. There's no more I can go, and I kick my leg out. You can always go faster or slower. I just like to go slower to observe what's going on. Today in my body, it's always changing. Let's do a couple more. Okay, so here we are, heels together, knees together. Extend your arm, rest your ear onto your bicep. Give your belly a squeeze and extend your legs long. Find a place you can balance already and use those fingers to help the balance. So really relax neck and shoulders. Let this come from the low belly. You're gonna press into the palm and lift your legs, maybe 1 inch off of the ground. Let's try that again. Press your ribs, you'll feel it. Lift the feet off of the mat. If you can stay here, point your little toes and sway the legs. I would suggest slow motion because it's harder. Just forward and back. Like you're swimming super slow, adjust your legs. And if this is too much of a challenge today, you're just lifting the legs up and down. Let's go for 10 from here. 9, 8. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Bend both of those knees, take a breath. And we'll come up. So still your hips are in line with your rib cage. Bend one of your elbows. Press like crazy into that forearm. Just to practice what we shouldn't do, let's shrug the shoulder all the way up towards the ear. And then, ooh, give it lots of space and roll it down the spine. Same with the ribs. We don't want them banana shaped towards the arm. We want them cinched in. So think that your head is still in line with your pelvis the whole time. Press into your forearm, all the way into the elbow. Feel that shoulder slide down your spine. So take your inhale, press down. Your feet are still stacked. Lift your hips 1 inch. Inhale, we come down. Exhale, we lift up. This is really nice practice for any of your side planks or your forearm planks. Basically getting the tricep to engage behind us. So now we're adding on opening, if you can, or you stick with any variation that we've been doing. Pressing the forearm, thinking about it, lifting the hips, getting up here and opening up, pressing the heels. Knee comes down. So basically adding more and more weight onto our bottom arm. Opening up, closing in, and coming down. Let's do 2 more of those. Pressing down. Lifting up first, adding on that leg, closing it in, and coming back down. Last one, press down. Lots of space between my neck and my shoulder. Lifting up, opening up, knees together, and back down. Let's stretch out that arm. Hold on to your shin. Elbow is bent. It's like a jelly arm reaching up and over your head. And so we'll do 1 more. Coming onto your forearm. Knees are bent, but not as bent as they were. So kind of like less than a 90-degree angle in your knees. Heels are already squeezing, thighs are already squeezing. Pressing that forearm down, take your inhale, straighten the legs, squeeze the thighs, coming into your forearm side plank. Bend the knees to come down. So we don't want to thump, you're lowering kind of your heaviest part slowly. 2 more, pressing down, squeezing the legs, coming up. Bend the knees, and we come down. Last one, pressing down, and coming up. And bending the knees. Really nice. So we'll do something on the belly before we kind of come back onto anything with our forearms. So this one is it's the swan. It's a big one. So lie down on your belly. Your feet are not super close. There's a little bit of space. So if you do yoga, I know this is yoga studio. It's kind of like a cobra, but let's have the hands a little bit closer out in front of you. Press into your palms and straighten your arms as much as you can. It's not about the back bend, it's getting your chest off of the ground. So you can take a breath in. You're gonna bend the elbows and let your chest fall. It feels a little bit scary, like you're gonna face plant, but when you roll the chest down, the legs lift them up. So go somewhere where all your weight is in your arms. You breathe in, you kind of let that go and you kick your legs up. It's kind of fun. You just have to trust yourself. It's kind of exhausting. So hands are there. The only thing keeping you from falling, bend the elbows, let go, and swing your legs up. Let's try for 4 more. Bending and swinging, bending and swinging, bending and swinging, and last one, bending and swinging. Really nice. Well, I can't tell, but I promise. Or you guys have to promise you did it. Knees bend, little child's pose. Round the spine now. Forehead comes down. Thanks. And we'll kind of come into a different version of that. So breaking it down a little bit. You're on your belly. You're feeling both hip points in the mat, and you're pushing down the pubic bone in the mat. Let's take our hands behind our head, like we've been doing, and get those elbows really, really wide. For now, the feet are down in the mat. Now tap the forehead down to the mat. Push your head back into your hands to lift up. Breathe in. Stretch one arm, like we did the other way. Bend the elbow, so this is your reverse crunch. Stretch the other arm long like we did, and we tap the forehead back down. Squeezing your back body as you go. Reach one arm forward, really extending the arm. Bend the elbow, press your head back, and reach your other arm. And tap the forehead straight down. And we lift up, and forward, and down. Relax your arms by your sides just for a second, and you can turn your head. So last one here. Straighten your legs so that the kneecaps are off of the ground, your thighs are really engaged, and your toes are pointed. Press your hip points into the mat like you're trying to make an imprint in the sand. Reach your arms forward, looking down. Try to drop the chest to the ground and lift the chest and drop the thighs. So the tiniest rock, forward and back. It looks funny, but it's so effective on the belly. Going for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Kick up, lean down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the elbows close in, and let's push yourselves up onto your hands and your knees. Nice. There's a lot of work in our Pilates. There's lots of different planes to work with. Let's press into both of your palms. Even your pinky finger is pressing. So each one of your hands, your fingers is connected to the mat. Knees are in line with your hips. Let's play with something. Let's drop that belly. Let the pelvis pull forward. Let the shoulders slide up and the chest fall down. So letting all of your weight spill to the ground, kind of just your bones are there, keeping you from falling. And let's do the opposite. Let's engage everything. So the belly curls in, the shoulders protract, they go away from each other, and you're pulling everything off of the mat, almost like you're gonna float off of the mat. Let's do it one more time. Let everything hang out, everything melt down. And push and squeeze the belly in and get those glutes involved and press the palms, straighten the arms. And let's stay, I would say, more contracted. Not a crazy rounded amount, but definitely the belly stays in. It doesn't fall, it lifts up. Choose one of your legs. Lift the knee in line with your hip. So we don't want the knee down here. If you can, the knee is in line with that hip crease. If, like me, the chest fell, ooh, we got to scoop that chest back in. Flex your foot. We're hanging out here for a second. If you can, if you feel balanced, you lift the opposite hand off of the mat and you can take that hand behind your head. So I'm not there today. I'm gonna have both hands to the mat. But if you want, other hand behind your head. Good. And you flex the foot and we're doing 10 kicks up. We're not kicking forward. We're lifting that kneecap straight up. 1, 2, 3, chest is in. 4, straight up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't let it drop yet. Extend, point the toes and make your leg super long as you can get it. Pull that chest back in. You can tuck these toes under if it helps. We're going to bend the elbows, not out, but in, only an inch or two, and as your head falls, that leg lifts. Okay, so it's like you would face plant if your strong arms weren't there, but they are there. So bend the elbows, point the toes up. Let the weight come into your hands, lift those toes. 2. We only have 3 left. 3, longest leg yet, arms close in. 4, bending the elbows. And 5, bend the elbows close in. And come up. Have a seat on your knees, make a big circle with your arms forward and back. If that was a lot for your wrists, you can kind of shake out your wrists. Going one way and then the other. Good. We have one more side. So coming onto your hands and your knees. A little bit faster this time, setting up, squeeze that belly in, press your arms. Just a warning, this side might be a little bit harder. Flexing that foot, lifting that knee in line with your hip. So if you lift it up and you arch the spine, we are avoiding that. Pull the ribs in, knee in line with your hip, foot flexed up towards the ceiling. If you're crazy, the other hand behind your head. Press, squeeze the ribs in, breathe in. We're going 10 pulses up. 9, 8, 7, straight up. Pull the other hip back. 5, 4, 3, belly in, 2, 1. Hand comes down to the mat, straighten, kick that leg out like you're really, really extending from the toes all the way to your ear. One long leg, hands down, tuck your other toes. Ribs in, breathe in. Just 5 of these, bending the elbows as you come down, the leg comes up. 4, bending the elbows, leg comes up. 3, 2, getting even closer to the ground. And 1. Really nice. Knee comes down. We circle the other way first, big circle with your arms. This time, interlace your fingers and just pull back. Let the weight of your arms kind of do most of the work. Squeeze the shoulders a little, and you can look up if that's comfortable. And shake out the wrist one more time because we have one forearm plank little series to go. So we did so much work in the triceps, in the backs of your legs, on pulling the ribs in. Let's bring it all together. We don't have to do a regular forearm plank. Here we can do hands interlaced, arms out in a triangle shape. It's going to give you more contact with the ground. It's going to give you more of a lift. So you can interlace the fingers, tuck your pinky finger under to get really flat to the mat. Your nose is in line with your thumbs. Elbows are pretty wide. You'll feel where you need them. Let's come back into a forearm plank. Tuck your toes. Always, if you need to modify it, just like a plank, the knees come down. So in our forearm plank, try to get, for now, the butt low and the thumbs in line with the nose. We're gonna breathe in, push like crazy into the forearms. Breathe out, lift your hips and look at your toes. In, the head comes forward, the shoulders come forward, the nose is in line with the thumbs. Out, the butt goes up, push up, you're looking at your toes. Forward breath in, squeeze that low belly, get your bum low. Back breath out. Forward breath in, back breath out. Forward breath in. Last one, back breath out. We'll come forward, come onto your knees. Give yourself a little rest. And last one, if you're up for it, it's kind of a killer, but it's kind of fun. Hands in the same exact place. Press the forearms down, tuck your toes, come up. We're going for a little bit of a walk. We're gonna bend one knee at a time, but it's not a knee and a hang out. It's a knee tap, straighten, knee tap, straighten. Maybe you go a little faster and you squeeze your belly in. Maybe we go for 10 more seconds. Separate the shoulders and the spine. Tap and pull the heel back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little hip dip side to side. Last thing we'll do. Little tap to one side. Don't touch the ground, almost. To the other side. One side. Shake your bum to the other side. One side. Other side. 2 more. One side. Other side. One side. Other side. Bend your knees. Let's stretch out those triceps, arms up. Bend one elbow, catch your breath, and pull that elbow in towards the center line. Leaning back. And the other arm, bend the other elbow, pull it in towards center. Nice. We'll stretch the arms really wide. Flex the wrists like you're pushing 2 walls from closing in. Push, 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 push. You're stretching all underneath your arms. And turn those to face down. Sliding the shoulders down. Good. And thank you so much for your practice. Merry Christmas. Even though Christmas is a little